Okay. We'll wait till we are.
Not exactly what you were. You know me too well. You know too much about me.
Most of the time. This regular meeting of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for September the 16th, 2004 will come to order. I'll ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Tonight we start with a series of public hearings on a variety of subjects for which we had the first readings last month. And as we go through these, I'll announce the topic, each of the 9 topics. And if you would like to make a comment, limit yourselves to a couple of minutes or so. We'll be glad to just give us your name. Come to the podium there, give us your name, and make whatever statement you'd like to make about the issue that's before you. All right. The first one pertains to Ordinance 14-13. This amends the 2014 annual budget for the City of Springfield. Is there anyone who wishes to make a comment on that matter? Hearing none, we will move to the second item, and this pertains to Ordinance 14-14, which would rescind Ordinance 08-01, amends Title 12 of our Municipal Code under the heading Building Codes. Does anyone in the audience wish to make a statement on this matter? We move to item 3. Ordinance 14-15. This would rescind Ordinance 09-01 and amend Title 12 of our code with the heading Building, Utility, etc. Codes. Anyone have a comment they'd like to make on that issue? We move to item 4 under public hearing. This ordinance 14-16, if passed, would rescind Ordinance 09-03 of our code under the title Building, Utility, etc. Codes. This is being for the mechanical code. The preceding one was plumbing. Anyone wish to make a statement on that issue? Hearing none, we move to the 5th item, Ordinance 14-17. This ordinance would amend Title 12 of our code, and it is under the heading of Property Maintenance Code. Is there anyone with a statement they'd like to make on that subject? Okay, we move to item 6. This is Ordinance 14-18, and it would rescind Ordinance 12-02 and amend Title 12 of our code, and it's under Building, Utility, etc. Codes, but it's entitled Energy Conservation Code. Is there anyone who wishes to speak regarding this issue? Hearing none, we move to item 7. Ordinance 14-19 would rescind Ordinances 06-36 and 10-12, and this is under the code heading of Fire Protection and Fireworks. Anyone wish to make a statement on that subject? Hearing none, we move to item 8. This ordinance, 14-20, would rescind Ordinance 0-9-02 in its entirety, and it is in the code entitled Electricity and Gas. This would delete Chapter 3 entitled Gas Code in its entirety and substitute a new Chapter 3. Anyone wish to speak on this matter? All right, we move to the next page of your agenda, and this would be ordinance. The final one headed for, scheduled for a public hearing is ordinance 14-21. This would amend certain fees and charges for play at the Legacy Golf Course. Does anyone wish to make a statement on this matter? Hearing none, the public hearing is concluded, and we move to the legislative portion of the agenda. Now, and particularly for the benefit of our audience, and which includes a large number of students from the government classes at Springfield High School, we appreciate your being here tonight. And when you go back to class and your teacher asks you what you talked about tonight, you know sometimes he does check with me to see what we actually discussed. So you're going to say, well, there's a bunch of mumbo jumbo the first 10 minutes that I don't know what it was talking about. You explained to him that these were items scheduled for public hearing and that we had no public comment. We're moving through these. We've already had one reading. It's already been before us one time. What we're going to do right now is cover all 9 of those items with a second reading. Vote on them a second time. Then at the next regular meeting, we will take care of them on the third and final time. It takes 3 times, 3 votes to approve an ordinance, 1 vote to approve a resolution. All right, now as we move into the legislative portion, we'll go through these. First one is ordinance 14-13, and this amended the 2014 budget by making certain general fund changes in the general fund. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion now by the board? Call the roll, please.
Mason.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Snyder. Pass 7-0.
Okay. Second item, 2.2, is ordinance 14-14. Again, a second reading. This makes changes in the code regarding building codes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Snyder. Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Ellis. Mason.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
Okay. We move to 2.3, which pertains to ordinance 14-15, and this one is the plumbing code. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Discussion now. Please call the roll.
Head.
Yes.
Carneal.
Aye.
Snyder. Mason.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Ellis. Sneed.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
Okay, 2.4 is ordinance 14-16, and this is covering the mechanical code. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Ellis.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Snyder. Carneal.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Pass 7-0.
All right, 2.5 is ordinance 14-17, and this would be the property maintenance code. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion now? Call the roll.
Carneal.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Sneed.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Snyder. Ellis. Hubbard.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right, 2.6 is ordinance 14-18, and this involves code changes under the heading of Energy Conservation Code.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Snyder. Carneal.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right, 2.7 is ordinance 14-19. This is under fire protection and fireworks as part of our code. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion now? Call the roll, please.
Mason.
Aye.
Ellis. Sneed.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Snyder. Pass 7-0.
Right, now, the following page, item 2.8, is ordinance 14-20 on the second reading. It's, again, a code change under the heading Gas Code. I'm looking for a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any discussion, please? Please call the roll.
Snyder. Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
2.9, the last in this series, is ordinance 14-21, and this would change certain fees and charges for play at the Legacy. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? All right, we have a recommended amendment on this. Our Assistant City
Okay.
Manager, Tina Holt, will explain.
Okay, last month at the first reading, you all approved rates that applied to the Twilight, $69 a month, and that's attached on in your iPad. What the recommendation is for the amendment is to make it a lot simpler, basically to have the Advantage card, which is $25, a flat fee, but to prorate it and charge $12 for the rest of the calendar year. So it'd just be $12. And then the Twilight pack play for weekday would be $15 with the cart, and the weekend would be $20 with the cart. And so that's the change. So it's a lot simpler than what you passed last month. Also, there's been some talk about foot golf, and Josh Jeppy is here that can answer any questions, but foot golf is included in this, and you can see on this page that it's going to be $12 with a cart for 9 holes. Foot golf would be scheduled for the tee times that are not booked, so for slow play. And some of you may have heard of foot golf. It's like soccer. You use basically a soccer ball, and it's played in the rough. So you kick the ball. You're not out there running around playing soccer, but you kick the ball, and then you kick it again, and the hole is a lot bigger, and it's in the rough. So it's beginning to pick up steam different places. And again, the recommendation is that it would just be for the tee times that are not taken by golfers, because we need revenue from the golfers, but this is another way to get some use for the course.
And how much would you charge for that?
$12 for 9 holes.
$9. $12 for 9 holes.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Yes.
on the
And
issue.
this would be after 1 o'clock, after 1 o'clock only.
All right, does anyone wish to make a motion which would put this amendment to add to the,
Motion to amend.
all right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, 2 seconds. Now, discussion on the amendment. Hearing none, we're gonna, it's not,
I'd like to speak. Do you have a question?
Willie, do you have a question?
No, I was.
We're on the amendment of the golf fees now.
Okay, I'm concerned about, I thought this was in the fairways, not the rough.
Well, the hole is in the rough, but I think the play is in the fairway. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna,
Can you come on up,
Discuss
yes,
it,
sir?
please.
This is Josh Jeppy, who's the manager out at the Legacy Golf Course.
yeah, it's done over a short distance. It's gonna be about 1,100 yards worth of use on the golf course. We're gonna put it on the back 9. It'll have its own set of tees, and every hole will be positioned in the rough. And these holes are 21-inch in diameter, and when we're not using them, we have heavy-duty lids that go over top of the holes, for safety reasons. But when we are using them, there is an actual pin in them, so it brings attention to them as well.
Are there questions? Ms. Knight?
I think I have a comment, and
Okay.
I know Josh has worked very hard, so it's no personal reflection on you. I'm very concerned that maybe we should just drop the rate some more on the golf and not confuse people about what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, that was the idea. I think the best thing about foot golf is that, you know, there's a small group of people that are using the golf course, and it could be a whole nother reason for people that live in the city of Springfield to come to the golf course that haven't come to the golf course, might never been to the golf course. So, I mean, I understand, like I said, we understand that the golfers are our top priority. In the afternoons, we have very small utilization, and we're only going to open up the foot golf during times where there's not golf. We're going to only open up certain sections of the tee sheet for this to be available.
I guess my thoughts are that maybe we should drop this some more so that our Springfield High School can come out and play more if we're going to do this.
I mean, we've been pretty, with Springfield High School, we've been pretty
you-
open for,
Yeah, you have. You've
Yeah.
been gracious to them.
we've helped them out. Actually, we had 6 kids from Springfield actually get to move on from the regional, so congratulations to them. But, I mean, that was the point of the other program, was also to lower the twilight rates to make sure that, you know, the rates are low. But there's a lot of different ways to market the golf course, and this is just one that's picking up a lot of steam. The PGA of America has jumped on board. It is a program that is garnering a lot of steam. And if we jump in now, it could be ahead of the pack.
Okay. Are there further questions?
Well, I guess you might have answered my question, but what is this going to be called? Soccer?
It's called foot golf.
Foot
We're
golf.
actually going to be, there's a Foot Golf League of America. There's 200 plus accredited courses that are doing it right now. So the name of it is just foot golf. You know, and it doesn't take very long to play. I know that was a concern too. It's going to take a lot less time to play than regular golf does. So it'll be easier to move it along. But they will be subject to the same rules as our golfers: proper attire, no cleats. They got to wear tennis shoes or flat-soled indoor soccer shoes, and they will be upheld to the same, you know, conduct policies as the rest of our golfers.
And what courses in Middle Tennessee are doing this now, Josh?
In Middle Tennessee, the closest one to us that has done it was one of our courses there in Knoxville. None here in Middle Tennessee, but there are 6 other courses that aren't even Billy Casper courses in this state, and I could send them the names of them to you, but there are courses in Tennessee that are doing it.
Other questions? Bruce, I was trying to read you what you were thinking to say. Okay. All right, nothing further? All right, you're voting on the amendment. Now, if you favor the amendment, when your name is called, vote aye. If you oppose, vote no.
Ellis. Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Snyder.
No.
Carneal.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Pass 6-1.
All right, now we're back on the main motion. Any discussion there? Call the roll, please. You're voting on the main motion.
Head.
Yes.
Carneal.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Ellis. Sneed.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right, now we look at item 2.10. This is a first reading. Do I have a motion, first of all?
So moved.
And a second. This, being a first reading, it's required that the ordinance be read in its entirety, and our city clerk, Connie Watson, will do that at this time.
Ordinance 14-22, an ordinance amending the fiscal year 2015 annual budget for the city of Springfield by amending certain general fund budgets. Whereas it is necessary to amend the city of Springfield annual budget for fiscal year 2015 in order to meet the requirements of the city charter. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee, that the city of Springfield annual budget for fiscal year 2015 is hereby amended to make necessary changes to revenue and expenditures within the general fund departments as set forth in Exhibit A attached. All ordinances, resolutions, and policies in conflict herewith are hereby rescinded to the extent of the conflict only.
All right, You've heard the reading of the ordinance. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
We need a motion.
Oh, we had it. We already, did we not?
No,
Okay, let's go with the motion then.
we need a motion.
Well, so move. I thought I was made one.
Second.
Yeah.
Oh, we did it, okay.
So let's put it, yeah.
Sorry.
All right,
It's all good.
I
you've got it
apologize.
down now?
Yes.
Okay.
Carneal,
Aye.
Head,
Yes.
Sneed,
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Ellis. Hubbard.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
Okay. Thank you. 211, this is a resolution, 14-23, which rescind resolution 14-15. This has to do with the item in the fiscal year 2015 annual budget where we provide certain financial aid to nonprofit, charitable, and nonprofit civic organizations in accordance with Tennessee Code annotated. We got a motion on this, please?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes, sir, Mr. Sneed.
One of the items, of course, the Chamber of Commerce has listed 16,000, along with the Historical Society 12,000, YMCA 10,000, Community Foundation 25,000, and Senior Citizen 10,000.
Yes, sir.
The Community Foundation, that's also or an organization with the Chamber, is that correct?
That's the Realizing Robertson's Future.
Okay.
Which
All
is
right.
housed under the
Okay.
Community Foundation. You are correct on that.
No further questions.
All right, no other questions? All right. All of these have been approved as they were put into the budget, but this is required also. Any discussion on these matters before you vote?
Yes.
All right, let's call the roll.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Snyder. Aye. Carneal.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Ellis. Mason.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right, 212 is Resolution 14-24, which would declare certain city properties as surplus and authorize the disposal of such property. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
Question,
Go ahead, Bruce.
have we replaced these, or is this bleachers? These are bleachers.
Those bleachers were replaced.
Coming before you now is Mr. Tony Phelps, who's in charge of Parks and Recreation and noted coach of the year, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going by now, Mayor. These bleachers were replaced about 8 years ago. It became necessary to replace them once OSHA and everyone decided that anything over 36 inches needed railings around them. So we just basically replaced every set of bleachers we had back at that time. These are the remaining sets that we've got left. There are still 2 or 3 that we've got up there along the tree line that we're using for parks. The reason that I've put them on there is this. These bleachers are used by virtually everybody in this town. They are currently on the property of the high school. My concern was, with these bleachers continually being moved, end caps missing off of them, bracing missing off of them, and the simple fact that they need railings around them, if someone gets hurt, then at what cost are we responsible if we continue to move these bleachers for everybody? So my concern was to try to protect not only Parks and Rec, but protect the city, and let's just get out of the bleacher business altogether.
Okay. Are there other questions or comments on this?
You said those the one that's out to the high school?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I seen them move some around last week.
Yes. You know, we've moved them for everything, Mr. Mason, and I'm just concerned that sooner or later, someone's going to get hurt on these bleachers, and if we're the ones moving them, we're going to be responsible.
That's so true.
Okay. All right. Anything further? Please call the roll.
Mason.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Snyder.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right, the next item, Mr. Allen Ellis, is this item been pulled tonight's agenda? This will not be considered tonight. All right, we move to the administrative portion of the agenda. First, 3.1 is the electric rate adjustment by TVA, and this is apart from the monthly wholesale fuel cost adjustment. Mr. Gardner?
Mayor, what you have before you is a 1.5% base rate increase by TVA effective October 1. This was approved by the TVA board back in August. Identical to what you had last year, and you may have another one next year. TVA is just doing these small incremental rate increases to try to meet their revenue requirements. A lot of it is environmental stuff they got to do to make sure they stay in compliance with EPA, like put new scrubbers on their coal plants and things like that. So the 90% of TVA's revenue comes from power distributors, and we've got a 100% requirements contract from TVA, so we're the ones that wind up paying the bill. But that's what that is, and what you'll see, even though this is a base rate increase, the timing of it, of course, you know, right now TVA is doing for the last 3 years, they've implemented a seasonal rate schedule, which means every 3 months they change the rates according to the season. So in the winter months and the summer months, you got the higher rates, but going into the fall months, October, November, December, and again in March, April, and May, they call that transition months, and those rates are lower. And the offset of those rates, because the seasonal rates is so much lower than the summer and the winter rates, even though this is an increase, the net result will be a decrease from last month, as well as a fuel cost adjustment. That's the next item on the agenda.
So this tries to make us feel a little bit better.
Yes, sir.
About the pain we're going to suffer.
Hopefully so. You're going up, but you're going down.
Yeah. All righty. We need a motion on this.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Head.
Yes.
Carnell.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Ellis. Sneed.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
Okay, and now the monthly adjustment of wholesale costs because of the wholesale fuel cost adjustment by TVA. Mr. Gardner, you want to present this?
The fuel cost adjustment for October is 2.6%, an increase of 2.6% from last month. But again, because of the seasonal rate schedule effective October 1, the effective rate is 2.8% lower than last month. So for the next 3 months, unless the fuel cost adjustment starts creeping back up, that should remain, and you really shouldn't feel the effects of the fuel cost adjustment and the base rate increase until we get into the winter months and again in the summer months. So the net effect is a decrease from an average from $2.50 to $3.10 on an average retail residential bill.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ellis. Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carnell.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Pass 7-0.
We're going to hear from the gas department now on the monthly adjustment of gas rates.
They're down 5.32%.
Glad that you want to come again next month. You bring it back. All right, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Better approve this in a hurry.
Second.
Second? Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Carnell.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Sneed.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right, 3.4 is to discuss and possibly take action on establishing a new speed limit for a portion of the old Greenbrier Pike. I know there's been some complaints from residents there about speeding along
Very much so.
that area, and the traffic committee is recommending that a warning signal with advisory signage be posted near Legacy Drive in the northbound direction and at or near the Wartrace Creek Bridge if you're going southbound, and it would warn traffic that that speed limit is 35 miles an hour. And the committee believes that posting this with a warning signal and signage would be more effective than simply posting a speed limit, as some people thought, of 30 miles an hour. This conclusion is based on the police department's portable speed indicator trailer, which collects data about traffic speed, volume, etc. in a location, and the review of the 6 traffic accidents that have happened in this area in the last 2 years. And our traffic committee involves the following individuals: Mr. Alan Ellis, Director of Public Works; David Brewer, City Engineer; David Thompson, Police Chief; and Mark Fields, Acting Director of the Planning Department. All right, you have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I'm glad that we're acting upon this because my good friend who's looking at me right now, we exercise a lot for the last year.
And you don't want to get run over while you're exercising.
No, I don't want to chew me out tomorrow.
Well, I've heard from several residents there, and I knew something that needed to give down there. And I've got a problem on Walnut Street, but I don't believe I've got enough pull to get anything done about it. So,
Well, you can do like these residents have done and got a petition together.
well, that's what I may have to do. I can't get the city to do much about it, so we'll see what we do. All right. Make that a motion in a second.
Yes, what is the cost? There's no cost attached to it, it's just saying do the work, there's no cost.
They're going to just post those signs. There's no.
You're not going to put a flashing
Oh,
light
well,
on it?
yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna put a flashing light.
Quote, quick quote, a guy was around $7,000
$7,000.
for 2, yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be, these will have to be solar panels operated.
Do we have this equipment installed anywhere else in Springfield? For
The only
that same
place I can
purpose?
tell you we have it is at the fire station too. It operates differently. It's almost identical equipment, but it operates by the firemen when they go out for
The
fire.
fire
with
trucks
this
turn
one.
on, the fire trucks make it come on so they can get out.
That's correct. Now this
And
works.
that was built into the cost and construction of the fire hall.
That's correct. This will all operate 24/7 though.
But this is the only one in town that will have other than at the fire hall.
To my knowledge, yes. The only other thing it looks like it is when you're going off Fifth Avenue close to Bill Jones, you've got a red light warning that flashes all the time that tells you there's a red light down below if you're going out Fifth Avenue towards the high school.
So the cost, if we just post it 30 miles an hour, would be significantly less.
Oh, yes.
Can't we just have the police write tickets and let people know that you're going to get a ticket if you go through there faster than posted speed limit?
Well, we discussed that, yes, but my personal opinion, along with the others, I think, Chief, if you just post it, you're not going to get, people are going to drive basically according to the roadway, how it is. And unless you have a police car sitting there all the time to enforce it. With this, it would at least notify people that something's ahead of them. I give you example is when you go into Goodlettsville, you will see a sign when you go into the downtown area now it's a little different sign. It's flashing 35 miles an hour through the downtown area. Mm-hmm. People see that. I've noticed it every time I go through there. A lot of times you won't pay any attention to the other signs. Now, if you have the police sitting there all the time, yeah, 30 would work fine. I think 30 is a little slow through some of the areas, though.
Right. Mayor, I've got a question for the police chief. Have you posted any police out there? And if you have, what is the volume of tickets that are written for this issue that we're being asked to spend $7,000 for?
Well, the answer is yes. We have posted police officers out there. And they have written a few tickets. I say a few tickets because you can spend hours down there. You've got to hit the right times of the day and that sort of thing. When we look at our data that we pull from this isn't done with a trailer. This is done with a box that's basically strapped to a pole so it doesn't notify anybody, so everybody doesn't know that you're taking their speeds. The highest incidence time with the speeding is between about 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. every day, which is the highest call volume for police. which means we're the least likely to have police officers that can go down there between those hours to write tickets. We have written some tickets down there. One of the reasons I'm concerned, or we expressed some concern with lowering it to 30, is that virtually 95% of the traffic that's traveling on that roadway right now is driving over 30 miles an hour. You don't really want to post a speed limit that makes 95% of the people speeders. I think that's overkill. And even if you give somewhat of a cushion for for speedometers or tires or things like that, I think that going below 30 or 35, I think is really pushing it, is really extreme. I think that the flashing lights and signs will get people's attention, but I think that going 30 miles an hour, I think is too slow for that roadway. What we would do is we'd make some people happy, but the other 14 or 15,000 people that are driving during a 5-day period, that are driving above that and are likely to be ticketed, I think we would create more problems than we would solve.
Chief, if we spend the money to put the lights there and people still speed because they see no police giving tickets and they continue to drive after we spend this money, what would be the option to slow people down there, making it dangerous?
Well, first of all, you said making it dangerous. The data doesn't show that it's dangerous. In 2 years, there have been 6 traffic crashes. None of them have anything to do with speed. One of them was a deer that was hit. One was at an intersection. So we don't think the speed has anything to do with that. However, I do have concern for those people that are pulling out of those driveways, especially those who may have to back out of those driveways. That sets up a bad situation. I don't want somebody to have to get hurt for us to go down and do something. Ultimately, you just simply want people to drive the speed limit. You're going to have to do some enforcement, but many of the people who are speeding in Springfield and other places are simply not paying attention. They're doing something else. Their mind is wandering somewhere else. They're thinking about what they're going to have for supper or what they're going to do at work today. Something that's lighted, that flashes, that catches their attention is more likely for them to take a look at it, look at their speedometer, and slow their speed down, versus just a speed limit sign they get accustomed to and they just ignore it from day to day. Ultimately, it does require some enforcement, but again, we're not going to be there 7 days a week, 24 hours a day to enforce it. We just don't have the people to do it.
Mayor, question for Mr. Ellis. Mr. Ellis, what is the total signage budget for the year? What percentage would this $7,000 be to all the signage and sign placement that we do in the city?
Sign budget that we have purely for signs is around $12,000–15,000.
So it's about half the total budget for this one intersection. Okay, no further questions.
All right. Are there other questions? They were good questions. Anything else? Do the motions. All right, if you favor this proposal, vote aye when your name is called. If you're opposed, vote no.
Read the proposal.
All right, let me get that back out again.
I guess my question is, it 30, we talking about 30 or 35 miles?
All right. Traffic Committee recommends that a warning signal with advisory signage be posted at or near Legacy Drive in the northbound direction and at near the Wartrace Creek Bridge in the southbound direction. Signage would warn traffic for the residential area and reduce speed to 35 miles an hour through that area. The committee believes that posting would be, with the warning signal and signage, would be more effective than simply posting a speed limit sign of 30 miles an hour. Clear? All right. Anything further? Let's call the roll, please.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Sneed.
No.
Head.
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Passed 6-1.
All right. We move now to the next page. .5 is to discuss and possibly take action on a request from Springfield Electric for ratification of an emergency purchase of 1,346 feet of copper cable and 3 termination kits. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Gardner, you want to explain what that was about, please, sir?
Over the last, I guess, couple of years, maybe a little longer, we've been having trouble with Oakland Farms and Saddlebrook subdivisions with some outages, and most of it's tracked back to the underground cable that crosses underneath Oakland Road. We've got a riser pole on Legacy Drive at the intersection. The cable crosses under a pipe underneath Oakland Road. It was installed in one large pipe, 1 4-inch pipe. Since then, we've had problems with some water in the cable and it tracking back inside the insulation. So been out there, had several calls, probably 3 or 4 calls, because when one cable goes out, basically that's a third of the subdivision. To repair that, we have to knock the whole subdivision. So you're talking about 2 subdivisions that we have to take out the power. We've just finally decided after this last outage, we had to fix it once and for all, and thought the best thing to do would just be find another route. So we set another pole in line on Oakland Road and put 3 separate pipes underneath the roadway and installed brand new cable. We did that as an emergency and couldn't get the cable from our vendors without, I think, 6 weeks delivery. Couldn't wait that long, so we got it from CEMC, had it in their inventory at the Gallatin CEMC office. So we secured a price from them. We also secured a price from our local vendors. Wound up getting it from CEMC, and they sold us a reel. And that's what this is for.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
All right, any questions now? All right, if you would approve this, vote aye. If you oppose, vote no.
Mason.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Snyder.
Aye.
Passed 7-0.
All right, so we have under item 3.6, 4 different parade applications. First one is there any objection to taking these as in their entirety? I mean, in their together?
I'll move to take them together.
All right. First is the Chamber of Commerce. I'm holding another art walk. This would be on September the 18th. Getting pretty close, isn't it? From 5 to 9. And in so doing, you would be blocking off Main Street from 5th to 7th. Secondly, Bethel Apostolic Temple Church requests to hold their annual Fall Harvest Festival on October 11th from 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. They're requesting street closures from the intersection of School Street and M.S. Couts Boulevard to the end of the church property. Thirdly, United Way of Robertson County requests to hold their annual Bump in the Night Bash and Hayride on October 25th from 5 to 9 p.m. and requests certain street closures that were on the application, and I sure approved, or we wouldn't be seeing this there. And then Springfield Baptist Church to hold a fall festival on October 29th from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m., asking that Willow Street be closed from 4th Avenue to 5th Avenue. Is there a motion now that we've got a motion and a second? All right.
No, we need a second.
Second.
Need a second. All right. That's putting those together and taking them collectively. If you favor these, vote aye. If you oppose, vote no.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Ellis.
Yes.
Mason.
Aye.
Passed 7-0.
3.7 is to discuss and possibly act on the ratification of an emergency repair of a Distat? Want to say it again? All right, unit at the water treatment plant. You can explain what that does. You want to come to the podium there, Mr. Roger Lemasters, Director of the Water and Wastewater Services.
Back in the late 90s, when we put the new plant in operation with our 800 horsepower high service pumps, we were having a problem. Every time we kick a pump on, we'd cause brownouts up in the northern part of the county. CEMC filed suit against us, took us to court, and the court ruled that we had to put in a capacitor bank to start the 800 horsepower motors, and then they could run on CEMC power line. About 3 years ago, we replaced the old the old capacitor bank with this DSTAT-COM unit, which does the same thing. It basically provides power to start one of the 800 horsepower motors. we have to keep these things running. Now, inside this new electronic device, there are what devices called inverter trays. Now, when you think inverter tray, you think something relatively small. Well, these inverter trays are about the size of an average desk, and they weigh about 350 pounds. They cost $26,500. One of these inverter trays somehow or another shorted out or arced in itself, and it just destroyed basically the whole tray. That means when that DSTAT unit is down, we have to use diesel power to run those 800 horsepower pumps, and it costs about $3,000 a day in diesel fuel to run that huge diesel generator out there. So we started looking at some options. Gina and Trent and I got together on a little conference call to look at the options that the manufacturer S&C provided to us. Option one was for about $34,000, where they would procure another inverter tray and charge us about $7,000 to come up and install it and test it and all that sort of stuff. They also gave us an option of additional cost but this additional cost would provide basically a warranty, 1-year warranty on parts on the whole unit. It would provide for replacement of the unit that arced out. Plus, we would be able to buy a second or a spare inverter tray for half price. So we thought that was a better deal, and the total price there comes up to $54,315. Now, because of the fact that we were spending $3,000 a day on diesel fuel, Gina gave us the go-ahead to do the work and get the thing put back in. So the DSAT unit is up and running, and we are now asking for your approval for the money that we spent to do that.
All right. Do we have a motion?
Move for approval.
Could we get one, please? Got
Move for
one?
approval.
Second. All right. Now, any discussion?
How many days will we run on diesel? How many days do we run on diesel?
Well, if we use the diesel fuel, the diesel generator full time, we can probably run about 2 days. And then we have to have Dean Oil or Hollingsworth or someone go up there and fill it. They get the diesel generator looks like it's like a train engine, locomotive engine. It's got a big, I think a 1,000 gallon fuel tank on the bottom of it.
But how many days did we run on diesel this time?
I'm thinking it's about 4 or 5 days.
Are there other questions? Please call the roll.
Head.
Yes.
Carneal.
Aye.
Snyder. Aye. Mason.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
That's 7-0.
All right, now, while you're there, the next item is to discuss and take action on the ratification of an emergency repair of a raw water pump at the water treatment plant. Can you give us the details on that, please?
The raw water pump station takes water from the Red River. We have 4 pumps, 2 of them on one bay and 2 of them in another. We normally run our water plant with 2 pumps. Sometimes during the summer we have to run 3 pumps when we have to run a large amount of water through there. We have never run all 4 pumps at the same time, but when one pump goes out, then that leaves us with the possibility of running on 3 pumps, and if one of them goes out, we're down to 2. So I talked with Paul about when this one pump started vibrating pretty badly. We took it out of service, and we got some quotes on what it would take to repair it. The minimum quote was $12,000 plus from Southern Electric Motor. Paul gave me permission to go ahead and get the pump repaired, and now I'm asking your permission to pay the bill.
All right. Need a motion.
Move for approval.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion on this item? Please call the roll.
Ellis. Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Pass 7-0.
All right. We'll move now to discuss and possibly make an appointment to the Logan Todd Regional Water Commission under the contract, thank you, Roger, that we have. Do you have something further?
Oh, yeah, I'll get some more on this Logan Todd
Mr.
thing.
Lee Masters has an update about the public hearing this morning
Okay.
about this.
All right.
There was a public hearing held this morning at the Logan County Judge Executive. Any time that you're going to add a member to a commission like this, there has to be a public hearing. We submitted a request that y'all approved last month to ask to have a seat on the board. Logan Todd Regional Water Commission also submitted a request The county judge set a hearing, public hearing date of this morning at 9 o'clock. He showed up, I showed up, Terry Beers, there were about 7 or 8 folks from Logan Todd, and nobody up there, nobody said a word, yay or nay. He took about 3 minutes and said that, the hearing is closed. He said because of the executive, well, he went ahead and signed the executive order. So basically it says we are now authorized to name a commissioner to serve on the Logan Todd County Regional Water Commission. Now my memo, there are several things about this that anybody, the board can name anybody they want to. It can be somebody on the board of mayor and aldermen, it can be a city employee, it can be anybody who takes the water from the city of Springfield. But whenever you do, then this person will be voting on their budgets, voting on expenditures, will need to be familiar with their system. They'll also need to take the oath from the Kentucky Constitutional Oath. And I don't know if you've read my memo, but basically one of the things that's in there says, I, being a citizen of the state of Tennessee, have not fought a duel with deadly weapons within Tennessee, nor out of it, nor have I sent or accepted a challenge to fight a duel with deadly weapons, nor have I acted as second in carrying the challenge, nor aided or assisted any person thus offending. So if you have assisted in a duel with a deadly weapon, you're not eligible.
Well, I appreciate that. And the other footnote, there is no financial compensation for serving on the Logan Todd Regional Water Board.
That is correct.
All right, I don't usually do this because I've appointed people to I don't know how many different boards, but I think because of the nature of this contract, where we're buying 2 million gallons worth of water from them on a daily basis once this line is laid, I think this needs to be a member of this board, and I think properly it ought to be the person holding the office of mayor, since I'm the one that person is elected citywide. And I'll be willing to do that if that's what you want to propose. I don't need another meeting to go to, but I think the person as mayor is the one that will serve.
And I agree with you, and I want to make that motion to appoint you as our representative for the Logan County Board. I made a motion to appoint the mayor.
I'm not campaigning, yes.
But I understand.
Appreciate it. Is there a second to that?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Carnell.
Abstain.
Head.
Yes.
Sneed.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Ellis. Hubbard.
Aye.
Passed 6-0 and 1 abstain.
Okay, thank you. Now, next is discuss and possibly take action on the sale of the general obligation bonds.
There's actually no action needed.
No action needed tonight. All right. You have okay, we can move on. Now we've got second here.
Consent agenda?
I guess, Mr. Lemasters, we'll ask you to come back up here and give a report on the progress made with the sewer collection system rehab.
I intended to get this to Paul as an electronic addition to your minutes, and I neglected to get that done, so I'm having that handed out by paper this evening. The contracts 1A and 1B are essentially complete. There are a few punch list items as far as repairs to manholes and some other things that need to be wrapped up. We should be able to issue a notice of substantial completion within the next week or two. Basically what that does is saying at this point we accept the work that has been done, and the 12-month contract of warranty starts on this date and goes for the next 12 months. Later on this evening, in the consent part, I'll be bringing you a request to approve contract 2A. That's also with in situ form, the ones who had contract 1A, and we have been very, very pleased with in situ form, not only on the work that they have done, but also in the close communication we've had with them. Every time we have a monthly meeting with in situ form, we knew that this one person would show up, and this one person would be prepared to talk about any item regarding the contract. We didn't necessarily have that good a working relationship with American Infrastructure. The work got done, but in situ form, it really worked well with them. We are also working on contract 2B, which is probably coming to you within another 2 months to ask you to approve a contract. We are working on contract 2C. Contract 2A and 2B are just like the previous contracts. Most of it will be cured in place lining, there'll be some manhole repair, lateral repair. Contract 2C will be, just about all of it will be construction of new sewer, getting out there with backhoes and track hoes and putting new sewer pipe in the ground. So we thought we'd separate that because we get different contracts to do that work. That's probably another 4 or 5 months off into the future. As far as the other parts of the administrative order, we have one more report that's due to EPA on the 24th of this month. This is the capacity assurance report. Terry and I met with Gresham Smith and Partners for about 3 hours Friday afternoon and got all that wrapped up, so we should be issuing that on time. We also, the board approved the creation of a three-man crew to use this new flushing truck. We have the flushing truck, it's just waiting. Funding will begin October 1. We have a crew leader. We're interviewing for utility workers now, so come October 1, we should be able to get this new crew started flushing.
Are there questions of Mr. Lemasters? Roger, I'm glad to hear that report. Thank you. All right. Next, we have under 3.12, discussion and possible action on a request from the police department to purchase digital radios. Chief Thompson explained the need for this recently at one of our earlier meetings. Chief, would you give our audience tonight an update on why we're needing to do this?
Yes, sir. I'll try to give you the Reader's Digest version. Last year, the police department applied for a grant and a justice grant, and specifically some of the funding for that was dedicated to updating to digital radio systems, digital radios for our police department. The existing system is obsolete. The repeaters have to be replaced, radios have to be replaced, variety of things like that. So we're looking at, we looked at the options. One was to build our own system. Another one was to partner with Greer Electronics. So we looked at different types of systems and different types of possibilities. The bottom line is that the most cost-effective solution is to partner with Greer Electronics and pay a monthly fee rather than buying an entire system and maintaining an entire system ourselves, which is what we've done in the past. To try to shorten this story a little bit, the 911 board voted today to enter into the partnership with Greer Communications to do this. This is an opportunity with them that is a sole source opportunity. There is no one else that offers what they offer, which is interoperability with all of the 6 other counties in our Homeland Security District. Greer Communications has built a network, and all of those counties are already on this system, and it's a digital backbone. This will allow us interoperable communications with all of these. And again, it's considerably cheaper than trying to build our own system that would not offer that. Today, the 911 board voted to approve that pending the final language from our attorneys, from our board attorney, and pending some testing for White House Fire Department. They want to make sure it's going to give them everything that they want. Part of this agreement is that we will purchase our radios from Greer Communications at a 25% reduction in the list price. We also have the opportunity right now to get a $60 rebate per radio that's being offered from Kenwood specifically to reduce that price. So what we're proposing to do right now is to purchase the number of radios, which is actually 15 radios, digital portable radios, along with noise canceling microphones that would go with those. And the total cost for those 15 radios and microphones with the rebate is $10,006.13. Again, this is all grant money, none of this is general fund money, but that kind of gives you the history and the background on this, and I'll be glad to give you a lot more detail if you want it, so I guess I'm kind of open for questions at this point.
My question would be, if that is a sole source, obviously then the attorneys are going to check to make sure that's in compliance with the comptroller's office, et cetera.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, got a question.
Mr. Steve.
Chief, this is about $750 for, you said 10,000 something for 15 radios and microphones. Does that include the antennas, the batteries, the chargers?
Yes, all those things are included in there, batteries, chargers, antennas, all the bits and pieces that go with
Now,
that.
this will just be the beginning of the changeover to the digital, the 15 portables. There's still they still need to get digitals into the cars, and there's still more portables that we'll need as well.
Oh, absolutely. These
Base
are,
stations inside the 911, do they have that all equipment too?
the 911 center will cover that. Well, for the police department, we have close to 100 radios between our mobile radios and our portables. The fire department also has a number of radios. However, I will tell you that on the part of the police department, we have $18,000 we put aside last year when we sold equipment. We auctioned equipment out of our property room, shotguns, a variety of things out of the property room. We came up with $18,000 that's restricted money for law enforcement purposes. We expect to put that toward that. Any residual above and beyond that, we intend to use drug forfeiture money for. Drug forfeiture money obviously comes from cases where we seize drugs, money, cars, things like that on our narcotics investigations. So we're not proposing to spend any general fund money on any of this as far as the radio system, as far as the purchase of any of these radios, portables or mobiles.
All right, well, the 15 is just getting it started. What you said, 100 portables. Now that's $75,000 just for the portables. That's not including the cars or what the 911 center is going to need. Because I know we're going to have to do it, but I don't like piecemealing the project. If we're going to do it, I want to know what all is the total cost. This is sort of just piecemealing it a little bit at a time. Are we going to be able to do some digital and then still keep some analog?
Let me explain why. The reason that I've been I was in a hurry to get this on the agenda for tonight is if we don't spend this money by September 30th, we lose it. So that's the reason that I rushed this on the agenda for tonight. At that point, when I put this, asked this to be put on the agenda, I did not even have the decision from the 911 board that they were going to go this route. I got that decision this morning. And again, I don't want to lose $10,000 of grant funding, so that's the reason I came to you with this. What I expect is the next time we come to you, which will be the next meeting, we'll put all the other pieces together and all the details. Now, I think the $75,000 that you just mentioned, I think we've got something wrong in the math because I don't think we're talking about that much. I think we're talking about the average radio is the neighborhood of $645 or something.
Right.
So if we multiply that times 100, that's 64,000.
Well,
But if we've already spent 15 or 10,000 of that, we're at 54,000. So I think what we're looking at coming back to you with is the number's going to be closer to 45 to 50, somewhere in there. And again, all of those things will be detailed at that time.
Well, I'm going 15 divided into 10,000. That's about 750. Or something different about these 15 radios than the other ones.
There are some different prices depending on, the portables are more expensive than the mobiles and some things like that. But again, the reason I was trying to rush was for this reason.
Right.
What I intend to do at the next meeting is bring back to you the details, actually identifying exactly how many radios, exactly to the penny, what those other things will cost.
But if the board commits to $10,000 worth of purchase of radios, that sort of commits us to the bigger amount that we don't know exactly what's going to come because we don't know what how it's going to cost if we were to do it ourselves. It's the comparison. You said there was a comparison, but we haven't seen that. We're just basing it on buying 15 radios.
Well,
I know right now we've always maintained our own system, and what the other counties in our 911 district is using, that would not be proprietary that we couldn't tap into if we still maintain our system. We'd still be able to communicate with them, wouldn't we?
no. It depends. If we went with something like Motorola, we would not have communication with them. Now, you still have mutual aid frequencies, but you wouldn't have the interoperability that we would have being on the same system with them. Now, the radios we're talking about purchasing here are programmable radios that work both analog and digital. Regardless of where the big picture goes, these radios will be used. They could be used on our existing system. They could be used on a new system that we purchase. They can be used on a new system here that we partner with Greer. So these particular radios are going to get used constructively in the police department. regardless of any of those other decisions and what's made there. Current radios, the vast majority were bought in 2006. The average lifespan of these radios is anticipated around 5 years. We're at the point now we're having a lot of things break and having to fix a lot of them, so we're at a point we need to start replacing equipment. So we're going to have to rotate out these 15 radios one way or the other. This just puts it on the front burner and moves us a little bit quicker.
Right, Greer already takes care of our radios that we have now, don't they?
Yes, they do.
No further questions?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Chief, I'm glad to know that you're getting on a concerted effort with these other counties, and someone might want to know that October 1st is the federal fiscal budget. That's when the fiscal year begins, on October 1st is where I can spend it. And, we just need to understand, as you said, where this money is coming from to replace these type of radios and equipment. So I'm glad that we're able to have these additional funds, okay, instead of getting the regular budget.
All right, other comments? Ready for questions?
Ready for questions.
We do have a motion. No, we do not. Need a motion and a second. This purchase be approved.
Okay, you got it. Move for approval.
He moved, one second.
Okay. If you favor this purchase, vote aye when your name is called. If you're opposed, vote no.
Snyder. Aye. Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right, on the following page is our consent docket. 3 items, I believe, on that. Do I hear a motion?
Motions to take the whole consent.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right. No discussion on that then?
Yes, Mayor, I've got a question.
Got a question? Go ahead.
It'd be for Mr. Gardner on the fall protection equipment.
Yes.
I see a bid tabulation at the bottom, but it's not saying how many of what we're buying for $11,000. Are they $1,000 a piece?
Mr. Gardner, could you explain that to him?
Sorry, Ms. Gardner, bid tabulation is not giving any details. It's just
Okay,
gross figures.
Basically, the total cost, I don't know if you actually got copies of the bids or not, or if you're just looking at the total for all the bids, the $11,434. That's the total to outfit 10 men.
So it's 10.
Yeah, it's 10 men.
And that is the low bid for it.
So that's about a little over $1,000 per harness.
Yeah, well, it's more than a harness. It's the actual body belt plus the fall restraint belt that goes around the pole, plus the hook. It basically replaces everything they're wearing now when they're doing line work.
Okay.
All right.
No further questions.
All right, we have a motion and a second. There's no discussion on consent. Vote your preference when your name is called.
Head.
Yes.
Carneal.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Ellis. Sneed.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right. I want to thank our Assistant City Manager, Gina Holt, for being with us tonight in the capacity of filling in for Paul, who is attending a meeting out of the city. Rare thing to have Paul missing. I don't know whether I've ever been in a meeting that he's been missing, but anyway, we have a resolution that was handed me when I walked in tonight about a project for which an application, grant application, or infrastructure program application is to be filed. Margot, do you have any comments you'd like to make on this? We have no knowledge of this. Margot Fosn is our Chief Economic Officer for the county.
This is a business that should be announcing sometime next week that they are locating in the 210 Evergreen building in the North Industrial Park. It's a project that we've been working on for over a year. One of the issues in the North Industrial Park is there is not adequate fiber infrastructure there. Several of the industries have had issues. They primarily have T1 lines, which are very costly. They keep having to add to them. With this new industry coming, we knew of 2 other existing industries along Evergreen Drive that were interested in receiving fiber to their locations, and Comcast had been negotiating with them to provide that fiber. So we asked the state through their Fast Track Infrastructure Program if this might qualify for a grant. And it was approved by the state Grants and Loans Committee for approximately $19,000. The $5,000 match is going to be provided by Comcast. So as soon as this announcement is made, they'll move forward with the contracts with Comcast. The fiber that is being brought to this location will also serve Schrader Electronics, which is a growing industry there in the North Park.
All right.
I move this be added to the agenda.
And you'll notice that there's no reference to the name of the company because as yet it's not officially announced.
Okay, the only problem I had with this, I mean, the grantee is, of course, the city. The chief applicant official is Paul Nutting, who is out of town. And you prepared this. See who the engineer is and know that gentleman, that's fine. But we needed to know, you know, I don't like to rush things through.
I know.
And several times when we've done something like this, we have gotten burned for one reason or another. I don't see anything wrong with this, but we don't have anything in writing to say who is going to provide the matching and so
Okay.
forth.
Right, well, it's clearly not the city of Springfield because it's not listed under local. On the column with the budget, it's other.
Mr. Mayor.
I'm going to let Gina say something on this. We have a motion to add it, but we don't have a second. Let's just hold a minute till we get it. Gina, would you explain?
Okay, I do have a question, and I apologize, I didn't get a chance to talk to you either. This was a last-minute thing. Is this underground? Is
No.
this underground?
This proposal, this amount of money is not underground. And it
Okay.
clearly has to be, that has to be worked out.
What is the deadline on this?
The grant application has to be approved before the company makes their announcement,
Okay, well,
which would be next week.
of course, we have some issues, and I assume then the routing is that if we approve this, this would be allowing them to use our poles.
If they do it, they'll have to get your approval to use the poles in order to complete the project. This is a grant application. What you're approving in this resolution is the application for the grant. And we know that the State Loan and Grant Committee has already said that they will approve this grant, but the project itself is still subject to you all allowing that.
Okay, so at some point in the future, if
Yes.
Comcast doesn't cooperate,
They
we
can't do it.
still
Yeah.
can, we can say, we
Right.
can't allow it. Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
we have not had enough time to really study this, so I'm just gonna make a motion for deferment. To give us a chance to.
Oh, I will,
I'm not
I
gonna
need to
rush-
let you
yeah,
know
let me
that.
finish my point.
Okay.
I'm not gonna rush into something that we gonna get hit blindsided with, okay? All right, I don't have enough facts that I will support it.
Okay. Well, I just want you to know that if we defer it, then there won't be any
Well,
grant.
regardless of that, you know, we're just not gonna do rush jobs,
Right.
okay?
Can we,
Mayor,
Just a moment. Let's take
we're,
it one at a time.
we're discussing this without a second or motion on the floor.
Let's get a motion then, this be approved.
A second, just so we can get some discussion.
All right. You got, do we
Okay,
have the
Alderman
motion?
Ellis is the one that made the motion to.
To add it to the agenda.
But we don't have a motion.
We're gonna have a supermajority.
Let's go through that part first. Who's seconding his motion?
I'm seconding.
All right.
Add it to the agenda.
Now,
To add to
any
the
discussion on adding it to the agenda? Hearing none, call the roll on that, please, Connie.
Ellis.
Aye.
Hubbard.
No,
Sneed.
Aye.
Snyder. Carneal.
No.
Mason. Head.
Yes.
Pass 5-2.
Okay, now it's on the agenda.
it's on the agenda, so I make a motion for deferment.
Is there a second to his motion? fails for lack of a second. Is there a motion that this be?
I got it. So where are we right now? We got
Need a motion to,
Can we just,
you need a
We just
motion on
added
the
to
issue
the agenda,
itself,
right.
approving it.
can we discuss
I'll make a motion.
You gotta do that.
that first?
You got a second. Now, we're okay, we can talk.
Seconded.
Mr. Ellis.
Alderman Sneak, okay.
Sneed made the motion, Mr. Ellis seconded. The way I got it.
Yeah. Mario, you said this is for an industry who wants to come
They
to
have
Springfield
bought
and
the
they're
building,
requesting?
and they applied for this grant. We applied for this grant on their behalf.
Do you have any estimation on their employment level?
They are, their grant application was 100 jobs over the next 5 years.
And the total cost to the city, if this grant is approved by the state, our matching part would be $5,000.
No, your matching part would be zero.
I'm looking at-
$5,000 is other, not local.
Let's see. So the other issues would be have to work out with attaching the pole.
Permission to attach the
Right
poles.
away, that kind
And
of
there is
stuff.
clearly, and I've discussed this with Gina and Paul, you know, there is nobody wants to see the city of Springfield go back on what Comcast owes them.
Is there any other fiber optics at any other industrial parks in Springfield, or would this be a first?
As far as I don't really know about Industrial Drive. I don't know what's out there.
All right, we just spent $7,000 to put flashing lights at one intersection. This is 5,000, or zero, to potentially get 100 jobs.
Mr. Sneed, I understand exactly what you're saying, and it sounds like that ought to be a no-brainer. And I know this project has been in the works for quite some time. But I'm just saying, I've gotten burned on some that I know when we did something like this before, and it didn't work out. That's not Margot's fault, it's not, we approved the project, we came in and made a rushed-up deal a year and a half ago to change liquor rules over the square for a particular business that hadn't located yet.
Well, they did
That-
buy the building, and they are
That's
remodeling the
encouraging,
building, yeah.
But, you know, we hurry up and rush it, and I've seen too many mistakes made. Certainly, I want this company to relocate there. We've had two different companies in that building, and, you know, our unemployment rate's low, very low now. Biggest complaint I get is from the quality of the workers now that they're getting, but I still don't want to stop them from coming. But I think it's a little rough to say, you know, for us to get something on a Tuesday night and say, well, we're not going to make our announcement if you don't have this for us.
Well, it's not that they're not going to make their announcement.
I thought that's what you said.
No, I said we can't get this grant. If this resolution is not, if the grant is not applied for before they make their announcement, then the state will not allow us to apply for the grant.
All right.
And that's ECD, you know. And I totally, I understand exactly what you're saying, and it's kind of a crappy business.
It's crappy and a rush job, you know, excuse me.
All right, let me go around and get some more questions. James?
Yes, you know, it's a rush job. You're just dropping this in our lap, you know. We need time to really study, okay? Not just saying that you're trying to pull a fast one, oh, it's okay. But,
Ms. Snyder, did you have anything you wanted to add to it?
Yes, sir. Remind me, or Ms. Holt, remind me what the situation is with Comcast and our past history. We're still in court with them?
We're not in court, but they owe us about $54,000 for pole attachment agreement that you all approved last summer.
Didn't we approve to go forward with?
I don't think that you all approved
No.
going to court, did you? I don't think.
No, we didn't get to that.
no, we get that.
We've talked
We still
about it
don't
quite a
have
bit.
54,000.
And we met with the officials from Comcast a week before last, I guess, And we thought we were pretty close to some kind of agreement and understanding, and last week when they sent the documents, it wasn't exactly what we had talked about in the meeting after all, so they just keep playing this game.
We've run into this type of thing with AT&T, with Comcast. The bigger they are, the harder they are to deal with in some of these kinds of things. And it's frustrating because we're trying for this to all come together, but it takes everybody playing their part, including the cable providers, et cetera.
We do have an estimate from Comcast to put the lines underground. It's about $20,000 more.
Okay. All right, any other comments from the members?
Mr. Mayor, will you clarify this third paragraph here? Please.
Well, I'll read you what it says.
Whereas the city of Springfield.
The part with the 24,000, et cetera, in it?
Yes.
Whereas the city of Springfield wishes to support and submit this application on behalf of Project A787 in the amount of $24,000, which will be a request for $18,901 from the state, for this state program, leaving a balance of $5,099 or 22% of the project. These matching funds will be provided by private parties who are not named.
Well, it's Comcast. It's Comcast.
All right. And therefore, if we sign it, we're applying for the grants, what we're applying for. If you favor this, are there any other questions before you do it? Okay, call the roll.
We're just applying for the,
We are applying for this grant to put this
not making
fiber
no
optic
obligation.
in.
No obligation, just applying.
According to what we've been told.
Yeah.
No. Unless there's something else, we're going to call for the question. Go ahead.
Hubbard,
No.
Snyder,
No.
Carneal,
No.
Sneed,
Aye.
did you say aye?
Yes.
Head,
Yes.
Ellis,
Aye.
Mason,
No.
failed 3-4.
All right. Is there anything further that needs to come before the group tonight? All right. We'll hear from Ms. Holt.
I won't be as long as Paul, I promise. Just so everyone knows, we did get the request for proposals for the management of the golf course. The deadline was September 10th. We received five good proposals, and Billy Casper was one of them. And so we are going to have a committee, and we will be interviewing all 5 of the companies. And so we'll try to do that quickly to have something to you next month. And do we need to appoint someone?
To be on that committee.
To be on the committee.
We do need I think it'd be good if we had a member of our board on that group, and if there's not an objection, you want to, I think Ms. Snyder, since she lives in that area, might be the one to consider there. I don't make motions, but I'm going to throw that name out.
I vote for Ms. Snyder to be representative.
That's it.
She cannot campaign in this meeting, that's all.
I don't like it, but
Need a second for it.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mason,
Aye.
Ellis,
Aye.
Sneed,
Aye.
Carneal,
Aye.
Hubbard,
Aye.
Head,
Yes.
Snyder,
Have fun.
Yeah, thank
passed
you.
7-0.
Okay.
May I ask, you're still Paul.
No, I just have, I'm
Is
not
that it?
Paul, don't you call me Paul. And I have one other thing I would like to introduce. We have hired a planning and codes director, and his name is Adam McCormick. He's out in the audience tonight.
Adam, we're glad to have you.
Adam will be starting October 6th, and he was the planning and codes director for the city of White House for 12 years. He's a consultant for Ridgetop in planning and codes, and he's also currently in Gallatin as the assistant building official, and he's very well thought of and respected throughout the community, as I've found quite a few city managers have been talking about him. So I think he'll start October 6th, and we're pleased to get that done.
Adam,
So-
we welcome you to Springfield and look forward to working with you.
You look so
Anything further?
young. I thought
I'd
you
like
were
to
a
ask a
student.
question.
Congratulations.
I'm still back, and I probably don't understand it all. I'm back to this contract or this grant
That's what I
application.
thought.
What is it?
That's what I gonna ask Ms. Foster.
But can we get that back, because I have to wait a week, Mr. Attorney? put you on the spot.
I didn't bring my Robert's rules. I think it can be brought, if we haven't adjourned yet, it can be brought back up at the same meeting, but it takes, I won't think a supermajority, I have to go get Robert's rules.
The prevailing side would have to bring it back up and vote on it. It'd have to be something different about the motion too. It can't be the same motion. I think it has to be something tweaked about it.
Well, I just
Well, I'd
think-
like to ask Ms. Foster a question, I guess.
Okay.
Margot, you're in demand again here, please.
Well, what we done tonight kill any chance of this plant?
No, this company is coming.
It's coming regardless?
They are coming.
Okay, that's what I prefer.
What does concern me is the message it sends to them that we're not willing to apply for a grant to save them some money, and not just them, but Schrader Electronics, which is in negotiations to bring fiber to their plant, and they will be responsible for the cost of running that fiber if they want it now, that $18,000.
Okay, so what if we go back and say that we let Mr. Bothrop look at the deal, and if he authorizes it, and Ms. Holt's concerns are covered, that we give Mr. Bothrop the opportunity to go forward?
I don't know, but I just can't,
I mean, it's bad for Schrader.
I don't want to get personalities in it. And I just see it's something where we can't lose, I don't think. If they, maybe we can, evidently. Some thought we could have, but
It's the
how do we
lawsuit that
lose
we're
in the
concerned.
situation? And we have an opportunity to bring 100 jobs.
Well, it's not going to stop.
It's not
that,
gonna stop them from
this is
coming.
going on and on. But it is a way to pay for this. But again, it's the matter of, we're rushing in here. City manager's not even seen it. It's applied for under his name as the applicant. You're so true.
Well, we
know
did
you
discuss
talked,
that last
but
week with Paul before he
This is still a
left.
hurry-up deal, and I'm just saying, this one may be fine. But I know we've done some in the past where it didn't. Yeah, so I know certainly Schrader, we know we've supported them in every way possible, and everything else that I know that most any industry is doing. And, but this isn't really the issue necessarily with them. I know they all want that fiber optic, but I don't have an objection being on the, is it the prevailing side's got to change?
That part is uncomfortable with that.
Well-
It would take a supermajority, right? I have to go get Robert's rules.
It does, yeah.
And the supermajority is?
By the prevailing side.
All right, the prevailing side is the four of us who voted no. All right, I will agree to, how many of those
I agree
to change?
to change and tweak it so that Mr. Nutting and Ms.
Yeah, if
Bothrop
it would come like that.
have the authority to act for us.
I mean, basically, what the resolution is allowing the city to apply for the grant on behalf of this project.
All right.
It's
So
not
that's all it is,
accepting the
just
money,
apply
it's
for the grant.
not doing a contract.
All right, that would mean that 3 of the 4 of us would need to, is that what you're, of the ones who, on that side of it, is that what you're saying? Or for all
Motion
4?
has to be made by the prevailing party, and then a supermajority would be 5.
Approve the thing finally.
Prevailing side has to second the motion as well.
Okay, what do you need to straighten it out then? Motion.
The prevailing party voted no. Somebody has to make the motion, somebody in the no group has to second.
Okay.
Then
All right, that's where we are for right now. Let's just guide us through it.
So I will
Before we
make
vote.
the motion that we let Mr. Nutting,
This
Ms.
is-
Holt.
This is added to the agenda now. We don't have, this is being added to the agenda.
We got to add it to the agenda, it's already,
No, the item's already on here. It's a reconsider, no, you're straightening out what was already on the, it was added to the agenda legally. I don't believe so.
It's reconsideration, not adding to.
Okay. So, Ann, you're making a motion that it be reconsidered.
I make a motion that we reconsider Ms. Fosna's
Now,
proposal.
Mr. Hubbard or Mr. Mason or Mr. Ellis, and I don't second, so there you go.
I'll second.
It's got a second. All right, we're going to vote now on putting it on
To reconsider.
to reconsider. If you would favor reconsideration of this issue, vote aye when your name's called. If you oppose, vote no.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
No.
Sneed. Head.
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Passed 6-1.
We legal now? To reconsider. Now we need to vote on it again, right? If you would favor the filing of this application, and I think the maker of the motion said that, worded, Ann, like you wanted.
That we give the authorization to Ms. Holt, Mr. Nutting, and Mr. Bothrop to act for us to make sure the language is correct.
Okay, to approve it with that stipulation.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you got a second. Oh, we don't know.
No, we don't have a second.
All right, is there a second on this? All right.
Mr. Mayor.
Any discussion? Don't confuse us now, Mr. Sneed.
I got a question for Ms. Butler. Ms. Butler, can we vote to delegate our duties to approve and disapprove items on our agenda?
I don't know, you can't delegate. I think you can make your approval subject to,
Due diligence being given.
subject to due diligence on the three parties.
Okay, I'm in my,
I don't think you delegate the decision.
I'm
You
in.
make a decision subject to.
Okay, well, that's what Ms. Snyder said. Is that correct, Ms. Snyder?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's what the seconder said?
Yeah.
All right. Ready to vote now? All right. You're voting now to approve, you straight on the clock?
Yes, sir.
The application. Call the roll.
Head.
Yes.
Carneal. Snyder.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Hubbard.
No.
Ellis.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Passed 6.
Done. Is there any further business? We stand adjourned.
It blew up.
I clap.
It just blew up.